Exodus chapter 38. The altar for burnt offerings was made of acacia wood, on a square, 5 cubits long and 5 cubits wide, its height was 3 cubits. At the 4 corners horns were made that sprang directly from the altar. It was then plated with bronze. All the utensils of the altar, the pots, shovels, basins, forks and fire pans, were likewise made of bronze. A grating, a bronze network, was made for the altar and placed around it, on the ground, half as high as the altar itself. 4 rings were cast for the 4 corners of the bronze grating, as holders for the poles, which were made of acacia wood and plated with bronze. The poles were put through the rings on the sides of the altar for carrying it. The altar was made in the form of a hollow box. The bronze basin, with its bronze stand, was made from the mirrors of the women who served at the entrance of the tent of meeting. The court of the tabernacle. The court was made as follows. On the south side the hangings of the court were of fine linen twined, 100 cubits long. With 20 columns and 20 pedestals of bronze, the hooks and bands of the columns being of silver. On the north side there were similar hangings, 100 cubits long, with 20 columns and 20 pedestals of bronze, the hooks and bands of the columns were of silver. On the west side there were hangings, 50 cubits long, with 10 columns and 10 pedestals, the hooks and bands of the columns were of silver. On the east side the court was 50 cubits. On one side there were hangings to the extent of 15 cubits, with 3 columns and 3 pedestals. On the other side, beyond the gate of the court, there were likewise hangings to the extent of 15 cubits, with 3 columns and 3 pedestals. The hangings on all sides of the court were woven of fine linen twined. The pedestals of the columns were of bronze, while the hooks and bands of the columns were of silver, the capitals were silver-plated, and all the columns of the court were banded with silver. At the gate of the court there was a variegated curtain, woven of violet, purple, and scarlet yarn and of fine linen twined, 20 cubits long and 5 cubits wide, in keeping with the hangings of the court. There were 4 columns and 4 pedestals of bronze for it, while their hooks were of silver, and their capitals and their bands silver-plated. All the tent pegs for the tabernacle and for the court around it were of bronze. Amount of metal used. The following is an account of the various amounts used on the tabernacle of the covenant, drawn up at the command of Moses by the Levites under the direction of Ithamar, son of Aaron the priest. However, it was Bezalel, son of Uri son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah, who made all that the Lord commanded Moses. And he was assisted by Oholiab, son of Ahisamach, of the tribe of Dan, who was an engraver, an embroiderer and a weaver of variegated cloth of violet, purple, and scarlet yarn and of fine linen. All the gold used in the entire construction of the sanctuary, having previously been given as an offering, amounted to 29 talents and 730 shekels, according to the standard of the sanctuary shekel. The silver of those of the community who were enrolled was 100 talents and 1,775 shekels, according to the standard of the sanctuary shekel. 1 bekah apiece, that is, a half shekel, according to the standard of the sanctuary shekel, was received from everyone who was enrolled, of 20 years or more, namely, 603,550 men. 100 talents of silver were used for casting the pedestals of the sanctuary and the pedestals of the veil, 1 talent for each pedestal, or 100 talents for the 100 pedestals. The remaining 1,775 shekels were used for making the hooks on the columns, for plating the capitals, and for banding them with silver. The bronze, given as an offering, amounted to 70 talents and 2,400 shekels. With this were made the pedestals at the entrance of the tent of meeting, the bronze altar with its bronze gratings, and all the utensils of the altar. The pedestals around the court, the pedestals at the gate of the court, and all the tent pegs for the tabernacle and for the court around it.